So our project was titled Life Goes On. I thought it was fitting because, as most people know, life does go on whether sickness or health. Next. It seemed fitting that a group would come together to help accomplish those goals of life going on. So as a nonprofit, we would be able to help those suffering from health issues by helping with chores and simple meals for families so they can spend time together and keep life moving forward. Next. Our key partners for the business would be family members, those affected by cancer, businesses, religious entities, hospitals. They all became key partners because they brought one aspect of the business to site. We'll cover all of the BMC in more detail later, but we'll just cover brief sections as for right now. Key activities, we're going to build great online presence to give people a place to find your services for cancer patients, or just to find some resources to help those suffering from cancer. Our key resources are volunteers, money, because we have to be able to pull those resources and get them to our people and make sure everybody's good. Hospital office. We'd love to create an app once it's finally taken off. Our value proposition is providing cancer patients with assistance while they are receiving their cancer treatments and alleviate some of their stress and strains. Next. Our customer relationships, we'd love those to be positive interactions with each of our recipients, giving them extra perks as much as possible, such as coming to fundraisers and sending thank yous and appreciations. Our channels are online systems to schedule things and find a good fit for what you're needing. So if you needed people to clean, we'd be able to find those that are able to help in those areas, or we'd be able to help those that want to cook meals and help out that way. Our customer segments are anyone who has cancer that may need some help doing everyday tasks. Next. Cost structure. This would be a nonprofit. So we're just covering our costs and anything additional to pay the people who run the nonprofit for their time. And then we'd also have, for revenue streams, we'd have grants, advertisements from other companies, and donations. Next. So as for the market size, the number of new cases of cancer is 439.2 per 100,000 men and women per year. The impact a company like this could have on a community is incredibly striking. To have neighbors and community members come together to help those in need and forget about themselves in the process. Next. In turn, the value proposition also alleviates the needs of the patients and their families while they handle the finances and enjoy their families. Next. And our minimum viable product that we have to offer for easy interface would be the website. This allows you to be in contact with people and learn of opportunities to serve and stay up to date on new opportunities that are out there in the future. Or even post your own story of how this experience has helped you or could help others. Next.
Customer segment 3, adults and young people with cancer. His worries are many. One of them is time they are away from his family and his treatment. We will help them cope their borders and tasks they have. Next. Okay, we will work with governments and some organizations as churches to get clients. In addition, we will seek to motivate them through motivational conference through influential and famous people of the moment. We will use social networks to grow. Next. Okay, this is our empathy map of this customer segment. When we know their needs, we realize that they have different concerns. In this way, we have developed programs to address them in the best way. Next. Customer relationships. We have positive interactions with each of our recipients of our services and also our services providers. Also giving them extra perks as much as possible, such as coming to fundraisers, sending thank yous and appreciation. Always giving our participants to, patients, we will serve them the best way. Give them an easy access online portal to use their schedule, what type of help they need, where they live, and when they need to help by. Also, we have a hotline for them to call into in order to schedule things or just have someone to talk to. And finally, we will appropriately bend our service provider candidates in order to create the best experience possible for our clients. Next. Next, please. Okay. This is our channels. Well, our channels are based on the current trends. We firmly believe that the best way to reach our clients is through social networks. Also, we will have an electronic channel as well as having a telephone line for our customers. Next.
So for the next portion, we're going to be covering our revenue and our pricing model. As you can see here, our model is definitely an input-based pricing model, meaning that we have a lot more things that we require to have inputted to us instead of us putting out a lot. Even though based on our inputs, we are able to put out a lot, such as we will need advertisements to make sure that are used to pay rent and staff and other physical needs to make sure we're servicing our customers. One of the other inputs that we'll be receiving and generating on a regular basis is government funding that fills in the gaps and assists with further research into ways we can help others in our programs to make sure that they're getting the services that they need to be able to live healthy lives during their treatments. The other thing would be donations through private donors or through other organizations and businesses to make sure that we have that money continuing to flow in from those partners. And as a result of all of these things, our company Life Goes On can then support patients who need assistance and get volunteers and maybe some payment assistance that we could give them as a result of the services that they offer. Next, please. There are a few different costs that do matter to us that are very important. One of the first things are the direct costs associated with our business of helping people. The only true cost in that is the time of the people that are choosing to volunteer and whether or not we reimburse them money for their hours or things like that for their time. The other costs that we would have that are associated with that for things like paying for groceries or grants for things to pay for gas or a children's, sports to carpool or gas to carpool or pick up for kids. Then some small incidentals that we would need to pay for would be things like a website cost, running marketing campaigns, and then just paying our overheads for individuals that would work at our company as well. So next. There are a few metrics that will matter to us and be significantly important that people will be able to judge both our services and our service providers on that give the volunteers, give their volunteer hours to people. So those things would include satisfaction scores of the volunteers, where the volunteers through our program are vetted out and given scores about how they like our program and the ease to be able to volunteer in their community for those things, to be able to grade us as an actual company. And then there would also be scores given to those volunteers on top of that by the people they are serving. This would include how good they are at helping others and how friendly they are, how kind they are, or what kind of services they give and how good they were at giving those services, so people can pick what people they would like to have help them with their services. The third thing would be how the people we rate will rate our services and our ease to use our online systems and help them receive what they need from our volunteers. And the last thing would be how easily we are to find on the internet when people are searching for help for themselves or for their loved ones, which can be through the SEO and things like that, that we hope to be able to promote by further encouraging our business partners to promote us in a positive way. Next, please. Some of the costs are broken down that we did an estimate on. That rent on a small space would be about $1,000 a month, with general building maintenance and insurance, totaling out at $1,240. And then operating costs of salaries of office employees at $5,000, which may not get us a ton of employees, but we figured that would be a good way to start for people that could help us to start building, along with things such as public services, support material, teaching materials, and marketing at a total of $7,190 a month as like an initial overhead cost for things that we would need to cover. Next, please. So next would be our key partners. Our key partners include those that are things such as those immediate family members, and any persons affected by cancer. Those are more often than not more willing and able to be of service because they are more sympathetic to those in the similar situations as either what they're currently going through or what they have been through. Second would be other businesses that would provide funding and ads for our online pages and would help support our business from a revenue perspective. Third is religious entities, because they provide, as we know from the LDS religion, of the good service corps and the charitable people that are often associated with those entities. Fourth would be government bodies. As Ben talked about earlier, the funding and resources that you can get, whether it's from a hospital and the programs that they provide and the information they can provide, or just through government funding and resources that are available, we can help better support our clients and the patients that we help with. Next, please. The next would be key resources that, as Ben mentioned before, include volunteers that government funding provides for volunteer hours for certain nonprofits. Next would be money to be able to fund our venture, a website to direct people to serve others, and to be able to have an organized place for people to be able to find our resources and services. The next would be a hospital office, uses a community outreach much like IASIS is used, to reach out to patients already in the hospital to see if they would be in need of our services. The fifth thing would be an app. Once the website is taken off, where people could easily schedule their services online through that app. And then the last, and to us, one of the most important things, is a caring staff and volunteers that care for the concerns of the patients. Next, please. Next here is going to be the key activities. The first one being building a great online presence to give people a place to find your services for cancer patients, so that it's easy for people to use. Second would be building those relationships that help bring in money, revenue, and volunteers for people, for our specific company and to serve our patients. In order to fulfill those, we will have to have communities. We will have to have people in our communities to fulfill those services. And lastly, another key activity will be regularly raising money for our nonprofit as well. Next, please. The next thing for our SWOT would be our strengths. We have quite a few, but we tried to narrow both of these things down to one key thing that we found to be important. Our strengths is the huge positive effect that we'll have on the lives of those affected by cancer, and also the lives of their families and the way that they're affected by cancer. Second, for our weaknesses, something that we may have a problem with it first is being able to A, get funding, and B, get volunteers that are willing to work with us. But we know that over time we'll be able to build rapport with both our clients and with volunteers that they will want to come help us, and that there will be people as a part of that we can reach out to receive funding. Our opportunity is not just to expand to cancer patients all over, but to other areas even outside of cancer, such as terminally ill people with incurable diseases such as Hodgkin's, much like MS and things like that can often be detrimental to someone's health, or not allow them to be able to function normally, where they would really profit from our services of care and help of doing things that they need around the house, or helping with children or other things. The only threat that we were able to really think of that would be one of our largest threats would be if a bigger business was catching on to our great idea and doing the same thing but charging money for it instead, so that in turn maybe they could hire qualified nurses or other things like that in order to get the help that they need and be able to charge for those services outside of what insurance covers. Next, please. For our business model environment, there's a couple of different things that we wanted to make sure are kept in mind, such as market forces or revenue attractiveness, and what customers are willing to pay for. According to the studies that we looked at, people are willing to donate if they know their fate. Some others comment that the government has budgeted, money for these causes, and that they should provide the economic resource in its entirety. So in a lot of ways, there are a lot of people that are willing to not only just donate, but a lot of resources out there that are most likely unused and untapped on a regular basis. And then as far as industry forces or substitute services, which would include things such as which products or services could replace ours. Fortunately, there are nonprofit companies in the market, and the appearance of a new one represents a challenge for us in some ways in seeking to innovate to obtain donations for our revenue model. Some of these successful companies already have the government support, but we are hopeful that over time, we would be able to make ours a standing key pillar in the community to be able to help lots of people and offer volunteer opportunities as well. Next, please. And lastly, for the business model environment is the macroeconomics forces in the capital markets, such as how costly is it to procure funds. Our assumptions are positive regarding potential donors. The real question is, will they not fail? Our revenue model is based on donations, subsidies, and government contributions, so that a failure of one of them is definitely a risk to our venture, but we are hopeful that as we reach the appropriate markets, we will be able to make sure we can accrue and procure the funds that we appropriately need for our nonprofit. We really appreciate you guys being willing to listen and hear about our business and the help that we believe that it can make for others in their lives, and for cancer patients. As we know, as all of us in this group have been affected by cancer in some form or another, we know the positive impact that it can make, and we hope that you guys will choose to move forward with us. Thank you.